What is up, Bucs fans? We are live. We're back on Monday here as we get real Bucs talk started for you guys. Hope you all had a great weekend, enjoyed the championship Sunday as far as conference games. Obviously, probably not everyone's outcome that they wanted, but we have a Chiefs-Eagles rematch of the Super Bowl. And officially, we're getting closer to like everyone starting the offseason. So Buccaneers already started theirs. We'll talk about the offensive coordinator search. Obviously, we'll touch on the Liam Cohen debacle that happened, and just him. Again, he did what's best for him, and he got a head coaching job. So that is, definitely going to be something to watch this season, see how he does. But with that said, I'm your host, Michael Plus, joined as always my co-host, Mark Ramirez. Mark, how are we doing on this Monday? It feels good to be back talking real Bucs talk and just talking Buccaneers football.
It always is, right?
Yeah.
It's always a fun thing to talk, first of all, to a good friend, right? And we've been talking Bucks football for so damn long, and it doesn't get old. And clearly, a lot of people like to talk football with us. So it's good to have everyone with us to discuss, I guess, like you just said, the Cohen debacle, Duval, question mark. I don't know. But let's see. There was a lot of funny reviews about it. Jaguars fans have turned into like hostile enemies right now based off of this debacle, I guess you can call it. But hey, it is what it is. He went and got a massive contract. You can't get mad at him for that.
Right.
The 1 year he did put together was phenomenal. It's just like any concern though. Like that was 1 year of calling plays in the NFL. Can you replicate it? I mean, and Ben Johnson's very much worthy of the contract he got. I don't necessarily think Liam Cohen should have gotten the same thing Ben Johnson did with the track record he has. But still, if someone's going to be dumb enough to give you that offer, take it, right? He just made it a blatant decision. It was more the nastiness of hiding behind people's backs, breaking bonds, no loyalty. Just a lot of people call it a snake. I mean, he did what was best for his family, but he broke a lot of bridges on the way to it. But I mean, we're on to bigger and better things, hopefully. I know it does suck because he was an amazing offensive mind, but so there is a heart, not just a mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see what he does, how he assembles his staff. Does he take any of the Buccaneers staff that are still here? That's going to be, something to look at. But when you look at what he's done, obviously we're not surprised by this move, given the, I guess, fast track that he was on pace for as far as like not really staying in one spot. He went from LA Rams, then went to Kentucky, back to the Rams, and then back to Kentucky. Now back with, now went to the Buccaneers for 1 year. So obviously the goal was trying to fast track as soon as possible to get to that head coaching spot. He took advantage of an opportunity that was willing, and some could say even desperate, to find that type of offensive mind slash quarterback development, and also kind of like the hot topic or hot button to push in Liam Cohen, and a franchise that desperately needs that type of, I guess, resurgence for Trevor Lawrence and get him back on track. I think that's their number one goal. But yeah, kind of an overpay. I wouldn't have paid him that much as they did, but they feel very confident, and we'll see how it turns out. But moving towards the Buccaneers, as far as their offensive coordinator search is heating up. We talked about it in a recent video yesterday. If you guys haven't seen it, they interviewed with Marcus Brady, the Chargers passing game coordinator. They interviewed with Grant Udinski, who's very up and coming offensive assistant. And then today they confirmed interviews with Nate Shieldhouse, who we had a video on as well. Very bright mind, has coordinator experience. And then they just confirmed that they talked with this guy as well. Let me bring it up on the screen here. They interviewed with Nick Caley, who's the Rams tight ends coach, pass game coordinator. So obviously attacking the Rams coaching staff, trying to keep that familiarity, I think, on offense is very important. But as you see there, he was a very important name. Um, he's been brought up among other teams as well for their offense coordinator spot. So it'll be interesting to see if he is going to be one of these top guys that, makes it to the final cut. So that is something to, keep your eye on. And then, Scott Smith saying we completed with Nate Shieldhouse here as well. So a lot of good things there, offensive coordinator wise. Mark, just your overall thoughts of how this search is going. You have to be impressed with the names that they're interviewing.
A lot of young minds,
Yeah.
a lot of, like you just mentioned, the Rams coaching tree of Sean McVay. There was a video that went out about showing all the guys that were the pass game coordinator that had to sit there and hand draw the plays, put it
Mhm.
into the computer, and then bring it to Sean McVay to kind of show him what tendencies and things to do on offense.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to see that, like, not just see it, you're actually physically writing it down, mentally taking notes of it, and then passing it down to Sean McVay. But it was who's the lineage? It was the Bengals coach. It was Zach
Yeah.
Taylor. It
Yeah,
was
yeah. Zach Taylor, Kevin O'Connell for the Minnesota
yep,
Vikings. Um, I think there's
and,
another name in there. Yeah, Liam Cohen, Shane Waldron.
Shane Waldron. That was it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, another name. So
and then it's Shieldhouse. So
yeah,
do
yep,
we keep following that path? And then it just makes sense because of continuity. Like we just saw how damn good this offense can run in that, right?
mm,
So why not get a guy like that? And if it is a young guy, he's in his 20s, hopefully you can keep some of the staff that Cohen, I don't know if it was just Cohen or Light assembled, and then you can just throw in a smart mind, but already proven coaches that know what the hell they're doing. Like Kevin Carberry, hopefully he stays. Like,
mm,
right? Like McClendon, hopefully he stays. Like guys that know what the hell they're doing in their rooms, and then you're just sprinkling a guy in there with great ideas, great like tendencies of just their mind wanting to get pushed out onto the players. There you go, right?
mm,
And you hope it's an easier, I guess, guide to calling plays. I mean, we've already seen it with Dave Canales, so you don't have to worry too much. Todd Bowles, I know a lot of people like Ken Barrett saying, "Help me off the Bowles cliff." We'll get there. Um,
yeah,
I mean, he did it with Dave Canales, so you know he's going to be patient enough to let it develop, but
mm,
he knows what he wants on offense. Clearly, he wanted a little bit of it in Dave Canales. He had to choose it again. He did better with
yeah,
Cohen. He knows his style that works. He knows the style that he wants to do. Running game, give me the same thing, speak it out very, very smart. Give me answers for all the questions I'm asking you, and we'll put you in there. And Todd
mm,
Bowles has a lot of good questions. He throws a lot of crazy looks at you. So if you can answer those questions, Todd Bowles can kind of pick them pretty well. Can he do it 3 times in a row? We all hope so.
right,
But I think it's a lot of the offensive success is what Baker said is why he came here. All the pieces are in place. Like all the talent that Jason Light drafted for the years for Brady, before Brady, weapons for Winston, right? Like it was so much talent that he just kept bringing it in and in and in. Offensive side's loaded now. You don't have to
yeah,
really worry about it. So
yeah. You got
just
a good good
give me
starting
a guy
lineup
that
here.
doesn't need to mess it up. Like just what you saw last year, replicate it and add a little bit of wrinkle. You don't need to force feed anything.
Mm,
Baker's comfortable now. Mike Evans, yeah, he's in his later years, but you sign back Chris Godwin, who wants it sounds like he wants to be here. 3 running backs, very viable options. 3 tight ends, pretty much. Devin Kolb, I think, is going to take a big jump this year.
mm,
Give me guys that know how to use this, and not to mention probably one of the best, if not the best, offensive lines in the game. So
yeah,
any offensive coordinator will want to come here. It's who's Todd Bowles think can fit into what we just ran and either improve it or just keep it status quo. Because Todd Bowles knows he needs to lean it on himself this year and improve that defense because that
yeah.
was piss poor.
Yeah, I think that is definitely on the minds of all Bucks fans is how do we improve the defensive core, the defensive unit, the talent base, the floor for the talent on defense has to rise.
Yeah.
That's going to be very important. I think that is definitely on all the checklists for Jason Light and his staff to see what they can do to add defensively. Offensively, you said it very well. They have everything in place offensively to be just as successful as last year, if not better. There's potential for growth. There's potential to rise above the little mistakes that cost them, especially on offense with the turnovers and certain things of that nature can get better. Um, and I think with their offensive search, their offense coordinator search, I think they're doing a really good job of, casting a wide net like we talked about, going after, who they want. They're definitely casting ideals as far as offensive scheme and basically young minds that they know can have room to grow and maybe even potentially be here long term. So I think that's exciting in itself. So you're starting at a very good foundation, and there's room to build off of that.
Yeah, but like you just said, so it's bringing up the floor of this
Mhm.
defense
Yeah,
because that's why we put out that video about the middle linebacker being such a need this offseason is because if you look at the depth chart again, you have to honestly say there's the least amount of talent in the middle linebacker room than there is in any other room on this team. I mean, behind Levante David,
yeah,
yeah, you're hoping Servasi Dennis could be it, and he was looking pretty damn good through 3 games, and he got hurt again. So it's 2 years in a row. You can't rely on him. But you were starting KJ Britt. The talent isn't there. Then behind him, Deion Jones, we signed really late. He's an older veteran. Knees probably going. Hopefully he stays, and he's a veteran that can stay and teach on this team.
mhm,
But you're putting JJ Russell, you're putting Vi Jones. Those aren't guys that you're like, oh, we can count on. Those are guys that, holy crap, we're putting them in because we're losing without some of our best guys. Once Devin White left, we all know his deficiencies, but once he left, there was no one to fill in. Like, oh, that we can really make sure this is the guy that's going to do it.
mhm,
KJ Britt was a flop. We needed to find a way to find speed, talent in that room because Todd Bowles' defense is kind of centered around that. They got pressure, and he didn't have it at all. You're relying way too much on a guy that's on the latter years of his career, even though he played phenomenal. You could still see some steps that were going back, but was it because he was just trying to do too much, right?
mhm.
So I think that room needs a big overhaul. Cornerback, yes, I agree with it, but I just think in Todd Bowles' system and scheme, middle linebacker is needed more than corner. But I am one that doesn't like linebacker taken first round. Let's just put that out there. I just think
Yeah.
based off of
We
past history of drafts, it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, when we go back to that 2019 offseason, you know, Todd Bowles, Bruce Arians, that staff was brought in here. We if you guys have followed us for a while, if you followed us on the when we were just a podcast, just audio version, we had some guests on talk about what this defense was going to be and what it was going to be about,
Mhm.
as far as schematically and what they try to incorporate. Um, and one of our best shows was with Jess Root from Rise Up, See Red, the podcast. He covers the Arizona Cardinals, so has history with Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles, knows them well and knows how they like to operate. And he talked about it. They said, you're going to see them prioritize big guys up front. So your defensive linemen are going to be stout and big. Defensive ends a little bit bigger in size, and then really the important part of the defense is going to be your middle linebackers. It runs through middle linebackers and safety. And hence, why do we have Antoine Winfield? Because he's a very important part of the defense. Middle linebacker. That's why they drafted Devin White at 5th overall, because they felt his ability to generate pressure, whether it's blitzing or coming in different angles up the gaps, like that was very important. And also having that ability to do the sideline to sideline, create negative plays. And that's what this defense is about. It's about creating those negatives to enhance your ability to get off the field more consistently. So that's important. So yeah, if you guys have followed us before we came on YouTube, and again, you can probably still check that out. It's probably out there on Google somewhere to get the audio. You can check it out. Really good podcast, talks about it. And I think fast forward to now, middle linebackers definitely it's a huge need. It's probably their biggest need heading into the offseason. I think it's a position they have to really overhaul. They need to add a free agent. They need to add a draft pick there. Really improve the talent base for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just going a quick overview. Like you look at the linebackers, middle linebackers he had in Arizona back in the
Mm-hmm.
day. You had Carlos Dansby and Deion Buchanan were his linebackers back then. They were fast, downhill linebackers and get after you. Then he goes to the Jets for 3 years. He had Demario Davis. I think it was David and David Harris. Those are
Mm-hmm.
again, Demario Davis is a do all linebacker. And then he got his money when he went to the Saints. But
Yeah.
I mean that's a damn good linebacker. And David Harris was a downhill Michigan guy. Like he could just stop the run and plug and play, but he was fast too. So he used his middle linebackers in a way where they're speed and get after it downhill. KJ Britt has no speed. JD Russell has a little bit of something, but it's not anything astronomical. I think he just needs a guy in the middle. Like and then you can fix so many more things. You're gonna generate more pass rush by getting more a gap blitz pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you simulate it and they drop back, if the guy can cover for shit, you're covering so many more gaps, especially if they're fast. They can
Yeah.
put their arms up, know what the style of defense you're trying to run. And that's another thing I was saying in the video. Like, think about our draft picks. They're valuing the man over the player. Like Tyke Smith, a very damn good person, already knew the scheme. He was a plug and play. We're like, how the hell does he know it? Well, because he's running the scheme already in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
He understands it. And he's a very good, smart dude. Like he stays out of it, stays out of trouble, and sticks to football. They value that more than, okay, that's an ultra talented guy. Let's see what we
Mm-hmm.
can do with him. No, I know what this guy is, and I'm not going to miss with this guy. He fits in my mold of a player in my team, in my scheme. I think that's what we're going to do this year. And again, yet again in the draft,
Mm-hmm.
and find a guy that can fit that role, whether it's drafting higher than projected. I mean, everyone's going to say, oh, he's not a first round player. Well,
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to get a lot of that this
yeah.
year. The draft is not very strong. It doesn't have a ton of blue chip players in the first round. It is a quality draft as far as very solid players throughout. You can get starters up until probably round 4. It's just you're not going to find a ton of those, instant star players that are you know, like super impactful, but you can still find guys that can come in, start, and be a solid player for you. So I think that will, yeah, there's going to be, reactions to probably most of the draft picks this year. Like, whoa, where did this guy come from? He should have not have been a first round pick, this and that. Or you're going to see guys like fall. Certain players will fall into the second or third round. It happens every year. Um, so yeah, I mean, it just really is preference for the Buccaneers and who they rank higher. But you're absolutely right. It's about finding, you know, that right dude to come in and fit the scheme. But I want to bring up what Krillin said, and that is hit that like button, guys. We appreciate all the support. We appreciate if you are new here to the channel, you're a new subscriber. Thank you for tuning in. If you're over on Twitter or X, do us a favor, hit that YouTube link and hit a like for us. That would be much appreciated. So if you're enjoying this type of content, if you're enjoying our film studies, enjoying the updated OC search that we're trying to keep up with, keep up for you guys, feel free to give us a like and comment. Like if you have any thoughts you want to discuss, feel free to put those out there, and we'll definitely get to them and try to respond as quick as possible. But we have so much more coming on the way. We have a film study of Siobhan Revel, cornerback out of East Carolina. So be sure to check that out tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So that will be up on the channel. Again, it'll be a live premiere, so you guys can Tune in the chat, comment live as the video is going on. I'll be sure to be in there and commenting with you guys. So it'll be a lot of fun. So with that, let's get back to it. Just yeah, I mean, heading into obviously the offseason, there's going to be a lot to add. I think cornerback, linebacker, and edge. We talked about defensive line. I even think defensive line could be a higher priority than edge because of what we discussed. It's like, how can you find ways to generate more pressure up front? And it's a great D line class to go after and attack. And Vita Vea is not getting any younger.
Yeah.
Logan Hall's entering a contract year. Don't know if he's going to be back. So, and again, if he puts up another 5.5 sack season, he's probably going to want big money. And I don't know if the Bucs want to pay him and Kalijah Cansey and Vita Vea, moving forward. So those are things to consider, just looking at the construction of the team. So yeah, definitely those are things to look at.
Yeah, and plus, let's give another woo. You see what just happened just now?
Did we sign somebody?
No,
Okay.
we hit the old 6K, brother.
Oh, nice.
There
Very
you go.
good. Well,
So
again, it's all because of you guys. We appreciate the much support. Yeah, as we hit over 6,000 subscribers, we're going to continue to push forward and try to just keep on improving our content. I know it's been a little inconsistent, but we're trying to get back to consistency, and hopefully we can, give you guys what you guys are looking for as far as Buccaneers content.
but there's a couple good questions here or
Yes.
points. So Corey Hall, I like that one a lot. So which is more important, a field corner or a middle linebacker that can drop in hook a curl? What do you say?
Well, I mean, to that question, I would probably say corner. It's tough to find middle linebackers that can cover. There's only so many that can do it well. I think what you have to look for in a linebacker these days is just they got to be able to move. They have to be able to get in the way. They have to be able to disrupt. Yeah, I mean, there's a few here in this draft that have the ability to do that. Like Chris Paul Jr. does it probably the best I've seen so far. We have film study of him as well, but his ability to drop and take away those hook curls it's important. If I had to say what position, obviously it's going to be linebacker. I think we're okay if we just roll with Jamel Dean and Zion again. I mean, they just got to hope they stay healthy. That's the case with them.
I mean, to that question,
Yeah.
me personally, I say cornerback, right?
Right.
It just said if you have a shutdown corner, you can shut down one whole side of the field. I mean, look what Revis Island did. Look what
Yeah.
all the greats do, right? I mean, Lattimore in his heyday, whether we like it or not, he kind of sometimes would slow down Mike Evans a lot for quarters, right? And shut him down. So some of these really great elite ones can shut certain sides of the field down. They don't even look at that side, right? And then if they can travel with, it's even better. So like, yes, and a middle linebacker, they have so many other jobs to do. They can't really simplify and center down on one specific role, right? They either go in, stop the run. Oh shit, now it's a play action fake. I got to drop back. There's a lot more things they have to do. And a lot of the times you just want them to stop whatever's funneled to them, right? Just be in your gap. Cornerback, if you have an elite one, they're damn good. They can do a lot of shutting down, right?
Yeah.
So in that perspective, I say corner, but with the way Todd Bowles uses his middle linebackers so much and how much more emphasis there is on them and how everyone else is a complement to them, I think just center of that defense is so vital to him. Clearly by this year,
Yeah.
it just makes sense. I mean, yes, when Dean came back, we got a little bit better, but it wasn't good.
No.
Right? It was a little bit better than bad, but it wasn't good. So
Yeah.
there needs to be something to help everyone else around you. And I think that will be an area where it needs it. I mean, we didn't have any pressure up the middle. If it wasn't Levante David, it was no one. Yeah, it was your Vita Vea and Cansey winning, but you needed guys faster off those A gap blitzes where there's a little bit of a gap where you think, oh, maybe he can get in. No, that guy's gonna get in there.
Mhm.
not KJ Britt just running into a wall.
Yeah.
I just think that in this scheme, it's very much needed. But personally, I think cornerback usually is the more important position.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, corner, I think the big key for the Buccaneers this offseason is find some corners that can help them out in man coverage. They have to be able to play man coverage a little bit more than what they've have been in the past. Be a little bit more versatile in playing zone and man. Zion, I think, needs to improve as far as it comes to man coverage. I think he's a little bit better in zone there, but there's some things that, yeah, that's definitely going to be an emphasis in addition to what we talked about. But yeah, KGH for life. He talks about moving on from Dean. Can't stay healthy, can't make plays. I mean, so why keep him if he's not going to be on the field and then he can't make any turnover plays? That's usually not a good sign for a corner, especially entering. He's getting up there in age, getting older. Injuries are starting to pile up. That's not a good sign. So if they do cut him, they can save about 8 million on cap space. So that's definitely incentive to do so. It just depends on, are you going to have a backup already to go to take over for his spot, as far as whether it's a free agent or a draft pick. So I know they aren't afraid to start rookies. They've done that in the past. So that'll be interesting to see what they do with Jamel Dean, because that is probably going to lay out the land for free agency, draft picks, etc.
Hands down, the knees 2 years in a row, I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been able to take it, and sometimes it looks like he's barely even getting hit, and he
Yeah.
gets hurt. So that's troubling, and he can't catch the ball. It's a pretty big one too.
Yep.
But it is what it is. We move forward, and Krillin, I wasn't necessarily talking that positive. Lattimore is a good player. He's past his prime. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
say that, but when he was good, he was good. And please, no Byron Leftwich. I saw his name in the chat. No, even the Jaguars said no to him. Yeah, sharp no. He wanted the GM gone too. They said no to him, but Cohen said it. We'll get rid of the
Mm-hmm.
GM.
Yeah. Yeah. No to Leftwich. I don't think Leftwich is coming back. I don't know if he's ever gonna be back in the league. Frankly, I think just too many things happened with Byron, and I don't think he got really great reviews around the league, outside of Bruce Arians, who is gonna talk up his guys every time he can.
Mhm.
But again, that's in the past. We move forward. I think I'll bring this back up. Just want to bring up the offensive assistants that we've discussed so far, or interviewed so far. I'm really impressed with Nate Shieldhouse. I think he is definitely one of the top candidates. I know we've also talked about Josh Grizzard as well. He's the current passing game coordinator for the Bucs, or passing game assistant. Did really well on third downs this past year. We were first in third downs, believe it or not, which is crazy to think about, because the Buccaneers used to be so bad
Yeah.
on third downs. Like, that used to be an issue for us, just moving the ball. And it's crazy how far they've come in that area, whether it's third down or even in red zone, the ability to be more efficient there. I think most of the time when you saw the Bucs play, you thought, when we're in the red zone, most likely we were going to score a touchdown, and that was really impressive to have. And then third down, whether it be third and forever, we find a way to convert, which was awesome to see. But Nate Shieldhouse, again, 34 years old, has coordinator experience from Iowa State, and really looks like he's that next bright young mind. Him and the other guy, Nick Caley, also, again, passing game coordinator. He's a little bit older. He's, I think, the oldest candidate we've interviewed so far, maybe outside of Marcus Brady. But Nick Caley is 42 years old and has experience, and was with the Patriots a long time. So you kind of have that Patriots Jason Light type of connection there a little bit. So that'll be an interesting one to follow for sure.
Yeah, he was Gronk's coach. He was a tight end
Yeah.
coach.
Yep.
Again, another guy that hasn't called plays, but he's older and's been in the league. Dave Canales was 40, right? 42,
Yeah.
and he had never called plays. But I mean, it's what is your mentality? What are your principles? And then how are you going to voice that to the team? And like the way you communicate is going to tell Todd Bowles, okay, if you can convince me, you're going to be able to convince a room of players, right? And just give me your ideas, core beliefs, and tell me what you're going to tell your coaches.
Mhm.
If I believe in that and you can make me believe that, okay, then let's roll, right? Because Todd Bowles knows he needs to fix his things. But I mean, I just think, to use Cohen's own words,
Mhm.
players over plays. You have plenty of players to use, plenty. So, like, yes, Cohen, give him all his credit in the world, but he had a glutton of weapons to use. Yes, we got hurt, and he got pigeonholed to just Kate Otten and the running backs at
Mhm.
one point. But still, Baker Mayfield made plays. All those running backs made plays. The offensive line was always consistent.
Yeah.
Like, so he had always something that was consistent he could lean on. Todd Bowles, on the other hand, yeah, maybe he didn't have much of consistency anywhere. Like,
Mhm.
secondary was hurt all over the damn field. Elijah Cansey missed the first 5 games.
Yeah.
Like, there was no one next to Levante David. I don't even know if there was a player out there at times. Yes, and Yaya dealing with his injury, it felt like all year.
Right.
So it was like there was no consistency there. Cansey was consistent when he was on the field, but it's like as a unit, it was difficult. And then the liabilities of that corner and middle linebacker area were evident. So
Mhm.
give me a guy that can figure it out. You already had the game plan, the model for your example. Look at what they did last year, replicate it and add your wrinkle. That's literally all it is. Don't mess up a good thing. You have your players to run plays with. Let's keep going.
Yeah, for sure. I and like we said, earlier, the offense, and we've said it, since the offseason began, this offense is in place. You have key guys. I fully expect Ben Bredesen to be back. I think he gets re-signed, to a decent contract. Chris Godwin's going to be back. And I think the only moves that they could make offensively is obviously figuring out your backup offensive lineman, who's going to stay there and who's going to, you know, be holdover from, your free agent group, because you have Hainsey and Justin School as free agents as well. So figuring that out, and then figuring out receiver, as far as like behind your third receiver, because Evans, McMillan, and Godwin are your top three. Figuring out the rest of the room, I think, could find like a new guy being added there, whether it's a draft pick or potentially a free agent. When we discussed that, but yeah, I mean, whoever they get as offensive coordinator, I know Corey Hall brought up Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
I I don't know about that one. I just don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know what they're gonna do there. I'm sure he might get an interview, might get talked to, but I just don't know if I would make that move. Again, yeah, that one's iffy for me. I'd rather go in a different direction. I like the direction they're leaning with these interviews so far, and I kind of just stay that trend and see what you can build there.
I mean, so Chip Kelly, from what I've heard, is a very almost like the Greg Schiano toes in the line kind of thing. Like he wants it his way. You got to do it his way. There's not much of a bend.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised that worked in Ohio State. But then again, supposedly he wasn't calling plays for a little bit. And then
Mhm.
he got it after a little bit. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't calling it the whole season. So there's more. I mean, yes, he is creative in certain things, but one thing I did mention before, Chip Kelly had gimmicky things at times. It was just the hurry up. I mean,
Mhm.
everyone heard of the hurry up, but he had the hurry up at all times.
Yeah.
Eh, yes, you can get off the field faster too that way if you don't convert. So it's the scheme and stuff. Yeah, it looks like there's more innovation and different things, but he's also like a hardcore football's everything. It's all he wants to do.
Mhm.
He's in a room just sitting talking football 24/7. I
Yeah.
mean, but I think all these coaches are that way. I mean, to be in this grinder of 32 teams, there's only 32 offensive coordinators, only 32 head coaches, and you're having to the competition of that. It's not just on the field, it's on the sidelines. So
Yeah.
I think all of them are built that way. It's who can relate to players well, who can get those players to believe this is going to work and continue to utilize what you have, not just force feed what you think you know. And I
Mhm.
think that's why communicators are huge. Todd Bowles is big on that. And that's why I think he does so well in choosing these OCs. And he has plenty of talent to use as well. I mean, that's the biggest thing. He
Right.
didn't have it in New York when he was the head coach. He has nothing but that here. So let's see. I just don't know with Chip Kelly. I think he's probably going to get an interview. But do you want to be left at the altar yet again from him?
Right.
So there's a bad blood with that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, the only thing with Chip that I will say that could be a positive is he has potential to want to stay here for a while. I think he would most likely, find success here, but I also feel he could be a guy that you could, have for at least 2 to 3 years before maybe he gets a head coaching.
As
Uh,
in, as in that's a positive. Okay.
yeah. So, yeah, I think that could be a positive. But at the same time, I would be excited about the guys that they've interviewed so far, and again, that list will continue to grow. I'm sure they have a couple more candidates they have to interview. Obviously, the internal candidates, kind of find out who's leaving, who's staying, and go from there. But right now, it's off to a great start. Again, a lot of potential here in place already on offense. Now it's as we've been saying, the off season for the defense. Like this is going to be defensive heavy. We're going to have new defensive coaches that are going to be coming in here. At least one to know for sure, with Casey Rogers leaving for Detroit. It looks like Larry Foote most likely will be back as the linebackers coach slash defense coordinator. Um, he got an interview with Detroit, but they decided to go in a different direction. So that is one positive, and we'll just see what other changes are made defensively because I know there's going to be some staff changes there for Todd Bowles.
And David Zusman,
Mm,
reinforcements on the defensive side of the ball, 100% is going to happen.
yep.
Well, I don't know how much more offensive talent you can bring in. I don't think they should force feed that.
Right.
Defense needs their help. Like I said in past live streams, like you can't fix everything in one off season. I think this off season is the time that you got to help fix that defense. It's been years now. You haven't really fed it, right?
Mhm.
So, yes, you've gotten one or two picks, but like it was mainly the first pick or not that much after, right? It was like a
Yep.
defensive lineman, then an offensive lineman, running back, tight end. Like you're filling those holes instead of filling what you should be doing for the defense. But that's a lot of relying on top holes and also fixing areas that Jason Light thought was his board fit better for those players, kind of thing. So
Mhm.
I think this year it's going to be a defensive heavy draft. Clearly, it needs it. And yeah, let's see what we do with direction of defense. Like I think Todd Bowles is still a great mind. It's can he continue to keep those guys believing in him and I guess just be a little bit more creative and get the dogs that can run your damn defense.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that is for sure. And I agree with that. I think obviously the draft will be defensive heavy, but I also think it's time for this team to. And I think they set up very well this off season to dip their toes into free agency, and get some defensive talent, veteran defensive talent, and just looking at like I'll bring this back up. I know a lot of people have been talking about Khalil Mack, stuff like that. Adding a guy like that, he's going to be still pretty expensive. I would expect his contract to still be high as far as cap hit goes. They compare him here in the PFF rankings, Von Miller, his contract. And yeah, I mean, Khalil Mack would be an awesome fit. I think he would fit this defense really well. But yeah, we'll see on that one. But there's just a lot of names in here that I think that could interest them. Obviously, Josh Sweat, I think, is like the perfect scenario if they want to get an edge to come in and be that opposite player of Yaya Diaby. He's that speed edge that they need. And again, he's affordable, a guy that they could come in and get. It just depends, is he going to be available once free agency starts? That remains to be seen. But yeah, just what's your thoughts on that, Mark? I know we talked about free agency. I know it's not really been the Buccaneers' thing to do, but I think this year could be different because the way they're set up.
I mean, you know my stance on it. I don't think Jason Light's ever going to sign a high priority free agent, like a high priced free agent. It's just not his thing. He tried it once, realized that was stupid, and but then again, you talked about it before the podcast or the live stream about wanting to bring up Spy Tech, and Spy
Mhm,
Tech in his interview even said it. He's like he's learned so much in his 9 years here. Talk about a respectable, right way, trustworthy man, and
mhm,
Spytech and what he said about our organization from top to bottom. He's like, I learned so much from Jason Light, not just learning how to build through the draft, because that is what your team's going to be. He's like 44 of the 53 that were on our roster was either signed by us, by an undrafted free agent, or drafted. So that's
mhm,
insane to say that. That's true team building. And then he's like, but knowing as an organization when to go out and get the Tom Brady's to sign a guy like that, or to make a crazy trade like getting a JPP or Gronk or stuff like that. Like,
right.
is this the time where we go out there and go trade for a top tier defensive end or a difference maker at on the defensive side of the ball, right?
Mhm,
Is there a Tom Brady caliber type of guy in free agency that you think can carry the team? I that was a swing for the damn fence, man. They got him,
yeah, yeah.
and it worked, but I think there's a guy like that in free agency? Is his name Khalil Mack? I don't know. I don't necessarily know that,
Yeah.
but, I mean, I don't think it is, but I
Mhm,
I think it's cool to think about, does that potential of a trade happen? Like, do they think they're just one piece away? 'Cause they were just one piece away at quarterback. Literally, you throw 30 interceptions, you're killing your team. Let's upgrade that one damn position and let's see where we can get to. And they did it, and look what happened.
mhm.
Do do you think the defense is one piece away? I don't think it is. But
Yeah, I mean, I think the key is just finding value in free agency, and then again, I know that's not always easy to do. But I look at like guys that I have on the screen here. Brian Murphy Jr. Again, he fits this defense. He's a guy that we really liked in our coming out of the draft that year when we were studying film and looking at Brian Murphy. Again, a little bit smaller, not really the size that Todd Bowles looks for in a corner, but the guy's a playmaker, and that's something they need on the defensive side. His ability to create turnovers, create interceptions. He had 6 last year. So someone of that, would be really nice. Nick Bolton from Kansas City, again, fast linebacker, knows how to blitz, knows how to, make plays. Again, his missed tackles kind of like up in the air, so that can be a little bit, but he is a force when he's coming downhill, and I think he would fit well. There's just some names out there that I think they could go after. Again, it just depends on price and value. Doesn't mean they're going to get these guys. And um, realtor David Zusman, he
bring up
he
those
is,
yeah.
yeah, he's bringing it up, man. Again, I'm not. I don't think Chase Young is going to be an option. I wouldn't go after him just because of the injuries. Hufanga, great safety, but again, coming off injuries. So those are something to worry about. I agree with Brian Murphy. I like him. I think he would be awesome to have. Um, as far as Nick Herbig, I don't think he deserves a first round pick, but these are all really good suggestions though.
Well, I mean, because also bring up his comments after that. Like Jason Light needs to realize it's stupid
Mhm.
to sign good free agent. Bring up that one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So if Jason Light realizes it's stupid to sign good free agents, then Jason Light is being stupid. The Commanders rebuilt in 1 year mainly by picking great free agents.
Mm,
So I mean, I'm going to touch on that one. So the Commanders are very much an outlier, right? Well, what just happened? They hit
mm,
fire like lightning in a bottle with Jaden Daniels. Like he is a good quarterback
mm,
off the jump. Like he can move, he can make great decisions in the pocket. A lot of their wins were based off of coming from behind and then barely winning in the end. Like they did it against us, right? They did
yeah.
that literally all year, and their defense was better. Like Bobby Wagner and Luvu, they got middle linebackers. What do you know?
Mm,
That could really cause pressure and were smart football players. Maybe that is an area where we go, but they were smarter. I mean, Luvu was a little bit more expensive, but Bobby Wagner was more of like a veteran contract, almost like a Levante
mhm,
David thing that we're doing.
yeah.
What those are in that fashion, if we can find a linebacker like that can help, maybe, yes. But I mean, I wouldn't overspend is the thing. Like Jason Knight's not going to overspend to try and get one splash and then have nothing. Like Ndamukong Suh, I thought that was a very good signing during the Super Bowl
Mm,
season, right? And that was the year before Super Bowl season too. Like that was a veteran guy that you wanted to bring in your team to make it better. And he kept signing 1 year contracts, but
mm,
that was a huge move. Like if it's something like that where you got a proven guy you can count on, yeah. Like that's where the Bobby Wagner was.
yeah.
Aluvu, they actually went out there and spent some damn money. I just don't think that's a and not to mention Dan Quinn's a defensive coordinator, head coach. You don't see that many times in the NFL right now.
Mm,
Uh, and McDermott would say it, but he can't get over the top, right? So and that's the scary thing with defensive coordinators as head coaches. You're like everyone's so centered around the offense that they think they're easier to fire the defensive coordinators. So
mm.
I don't know. Like I see your points.
Yeah.
I certain points
I just feel like, at some point you
right,
have to be you have to be aggressive, in free agency. You're gonna have to spend money, especially with the way, the salary cap continues to rise, so that's gonna be important. Um, and to get some of these value free agents, I think that's key.
yeah. 'Cause he put also that we're overreaching with certain picks like JTS, Logan Hall. I fully agree. Trask, Braswell, and etc.
Mhm,
The Logan Hall, 100% I'm gonna agree with you. JTS, I don't necessarily think was a reach. I think it was the 32nd pick. You get a 6'5", 260-pound guy that ran like a 4.59, something like that. He had all the traits, all the athletic gifts. He had 1 year, then you had a COVID year. He didn't play at all, so you only saw really 1 year production.
yeah,
Based off of that, you're like, oh hell yeah, we got ourselves a player. But again, it's the scheme. Like you asked him to drop back a lot. You
mhm,
didn't get him to get as many pass rush situations. So is it the scheme he's in or is it the player? It's you got to look at it as a whole picture, not just oh look at the numbers he did in that 1 year he sucked kind of thing. So Logan Hall, I thought he was a terrible pick for the scheme. Again,
mhm,
he's a bad run stopper and he showed early on he's getting better at it. But damn, Trask
yeah,
was just I mean Super Bowl year. Look, do we need to look for the future? Brady's not getting any younger. Why not? Didn't see many
mhm,
other holes. Yes, they probably should have taken other players. Braswell,
yeah.
well, I don't know how you can give up on Braswell. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, he's just 1 year into it. I mean, we have to wait and see on that. And again, we appreciate, the comments. We appreciate the, new ideas and trying to, offer different perspectives. And yeah, I can see it both ways. I can understand, not wanting to put too much in one basket. I can also understand the way of getting value, when it comes to free agency and understanding and finding ways to, uh, keep your salary cap in a good position. And the main focus of this team has been drafting guys, developing them, signing them to second contracts. That's been kind of their forte. And it's a reason why, like, when they found or when they figured out like their team is ready to compete. And I think they kind of figured that out the first year Bruce Arians was here because you had a roster in place that was ready to win. problem is you didn't have the quarterback to be consistent enough to get you there.
Mhm.
And just so happened Tom Brady becomes a free agent. That changed your mindset, that changed your goals that year and being able to bring him in. Um, so I understand that, type of team building in a way, but also there's value to be had out there. And sometimes you just got to pull those triggers to not only raise the play of your young team, just build your floor up to another level so that you can maybe progress in a way that you didn't see at first. And then once you get throughout the season, you can become a dark horse and end up winning a championship. Just like the Commanders this year, the way they found a way to find that magical combination. It could happen with the Bucs if they can put the right pieces in play on defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think he put 70-30. I think it should be more like 90-10, to be honest. But
Mhm.
I mean, the thing is, they aren't that far away. Like I think Steven Stansfield said it kind of pretty straightforward. A game-wrecking linebacker and a shutdown corner.
Mm.
I don't even think you need a shutdown corner. I just think you need a corner that stays on the field and just does his job. I think the linebacker is going to help big time. So I think if you can, then again, if you think hypothesis here, like what if
Mhm.
you do find a way to cut Jamel Dean, you save 8 million, like you just said, and then you do sign Byron Murphy, then you do get your shutdown corner, and then your first round pick is you're the linebacker. You're like, oh, this is the guy we need. You just fix both holes right there. And then you
Mhm.
sign some other free agents if you bring back Bryce Hall or sign it or draft another cornerback for depth. I mean, look what the Eagles did. Look at their damn defense with two rookie cornerbacks. Cooper DeJean, wait a minute. Another
Woo!
real Bucks talk draft guy that we fell in love with, wanted him bad. It, you're not that far away because you have your game wreckers in the middle with Vita Vea and Kalijah Cansey. If you get a guy that can freaking cause havoc in the middle, that can blitz nonstop, and once it says hike, they're already in the backfield and a middle linebacker, you're
Mhm.
forcing people to the edges, you're moving the pocket out, you're forcing to one side, and it makes it easier on the edge outside linebacker. So I don't think it's that far away. I truly don't think it is. And if you do a situation like that, you're easing everyone. Like you're
Mhm.
getting a more consistent, valuable player at corner. If you get a guy like Byron Murphy, and if you draft your middle linebacker, you're right there. So it's not like you have to sign all free agents. It's more how do you make things move? Like you always say, the
Yeah.
roster's fluid, right?
Yeah, I don't think we're saying, sign every free agent out there.
Yeah.
I think it's just more so, um, again, finding the right person, the right value, and finding guys that can come in and contribute, whether that's starter or just adding depth and building your team a higher floor. I think is what you're looking for defensively, especially up front, defensive line, the guys who rotate in often. Having depth at corner, having depth at linebacker, obviously is going to be a premium. So, like you look at Jamie and Shearwood from the Jets, again, had a really good year, first time starter, played really well. That's something, maybe you look at depending on price tag. There's just a lot of guys. Obviously, again, Levante comes up on this list, so we'll see if he comes back. Uh, but there's just names you can go out and get to add depth, that could be of really good value out there. And then again, they're not going to be the team that signs people on the first day. They're just not going to be that type of team. It's going to be probably the next week or so where they get guys free agency wise that can add value. That's going to be important.
Bring up Corey Hall's comment.
Mhm.
Pass rush will help the secondary. 100% agree. A
Yeah,
fast physical field corner. Hell, y'all might laugh at me, but I would take Lattimore if he's a free agent. Him and Evans call it a truce for a thing.
yeah,
I mean, I told you earlier. I
yeah.
mean, that would be a veteran that would not mind. Just saying. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm sliding Lattimore for. I mean, they both know they can go into the on the field and battle it out. That's what they're looking for. And
Yeah.
hey, good players attract good players. That's what I'll say.
Right. Um, Yeah, I mean, he's definitely physical. He gets I think it's either a flag or it's incomplete. Um, but I'll bring back up the depth chart because I mean, just talking about, and we'll wrap it up with this as we close out for tonight. Again, we appreciate everyone joining us. If you haven't hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here. Again, we appreciate all the support and comments. But this is what I talk about when raising the floor on defense. I think, and to the point of David Sussman, really good points here because guys like Mike Green, Greg Gaines, Golston, Anthony Nelson, Shaq Barrett, like that's where they really need to focus on finding potential either more athletic guys to take their spots or just better players, like better overall players that can come in here and do a job. I think you gotta start building there. And I'm not saying cut all these guys. I mean, Greg
Mhm.
Gaines, I would be fine with coming back, but I think a few of them you can find better upside type of players or even floor players that can come in and do a job more consistently. Defensive back, same thing. Like we just can't afford to have Josh Hayes on the field anymore.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he's got to be gone. Um, Tyreek Thunderberg, I'm fine with him continuing to learn, but he should be like your fifth corner, and that's it. But
Shouldn't be
they just,
starting outside.
yeah.
Wow.
so so yeah, they need to get better overall floor there on defense. That's for sure.
Because what blew my mind is people saying, "Oh, we need to get another receiver because we can't be in the situation where this year where both Mike and Chris go out. We're stuck with Sterling Shepard and Jalen McMillan." I'm like, really? We have so many other things we can use. You're okay with Funderburg and Josh Hayes starting? Like that is an atrocious thing. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, guys. Need to do better in that side of the field at times. So, like, I know
Mm.
we all, the point is to score points, but also to stop the other team from scoring. That's how you win games. You can't just, if you score 50 and the other team scores 51, you're going to lose.
Yeah, that's how it works. But great point here by Buccaneer Bryce. Welcome to the show. Draft Chris Paul Jr. at all costs. I fully recommend that statement. I am aboard the Chris Paul Jr. train, hype train. I think we both are.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. I think doubling up at linebacker, doubling up at corner, so free agent and draft pick at both of those spots really makes a lot of sense. Um, and just continue to add depth throughout the defense, whether that's free agency or the draft. And if you have to double up free agent at defensive line and draft pick as well, like just do that throughout the whole levels, all the levels of defense. I think that's important. And yeah, I mean, David talked about Whitehead. Like that's another move that could happen where he, gets cut. Um, and again, he could be moved on from just because of what he's going through and didn't really have a great year last year. It was unfortunate. So we'll see what happens there at safety. That's another position that they have to look at for sure.
And then again, his injury, let's see what the hell happens there. We're hoping for
Mm,
the best, but you never know.
right. Yeah.
A hard hitting safety with a broken, fractured neck. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Thunderbird can't even play special teams. I agree that
Yeah.
again. So again, like that room,
It's got to be upgraded.
yes. Uh, I mean, defense either way is going to get upgraded. The
Mm,
idea of a Byron Murphy coming onto the roster wouldn't, it'd be an amazing signing,
yeah.
and then it pigeonholes you to, and that's usually how Jason Light kind of puts it, like where the first round pick is usually the biggest need, but it's
Mm,
lining up with the talent that he knows is going to be there in the
yeah.
draft. So he
Right.
kind of sees steps ahead, right? So
Yeah.
I think whatever we do in free agency, he knows what he's going to go after in the draft.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. And I'll end it with this last point, and then we'll wrap it up here. Um, so when you look at this team and just the roster construction, I think over the last several years, he's done a really good job of building the offensive line, building the offense as a whole. People forget that we lost Ryan Jensen and Ali Marpet in back-to-back off seasons, or I think that was actually the same off season.
Mhm.
We lost both of them.
Oh,
So
no.
that's
Well,
that's yeah,
Jetson came back and then he got hurt, and you know why.
yeah. So we lost them in the same offseason, and it was just unfortunate because that created two massive holes in your offensive line. So you had to spend resources there. And now finally they got the O line that is set pretty much going forward. You have four starters that you can count on. Um, that's really important. You have a very good, talented, uh, star receivers and Godwin and Evans. Now McMillan up and coming. Running back room is figured out. And now defensively, they've added pieces. You have Kalijah Cansey, you have Yaya Diaby, you have Antoine Winfield Jr., Zion, Tyke Smith. Those guys you can count on moving forward. So there's pieces in place. I think now it's just about continuing to add. And also you have to remember the salary cap issues that we've been through.
Yeah.
Now we're coming out of that from the Tom Brady go all in type of scenario. And obviously it paid off with the Super Bowl. So now your salary cap is in good standing. And now you have an opportunity for the first time in a while to actually be aggressive. And we'll see what kind of players Todd Bowles wants to target and how they go after that. And if there are certain free agents that want to come here. And I think that is something that's going to be important because they like to target people, who want to be here and want to play for this defense. So I think that is something that is going to be strongly considered. And I expect him to be aggressive. We'll see how much, though, for sure.
That's a huge talking point too. Like, this is the first year we're going to have ability to actually spend and be creative with that and satisfy David Sussman, hopefully, right? But I
Yeah,
mean, think about that.
I love David. I love David.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
bringing up good points though. It makes you
Yeah.
think, makes you contemplate. Like, what if they do that? Should they do that?
Right.
If they did do that, why? Right. So it's a good point. I like the fact that everyone does communicate in there, and because no one wants to be their own asshole, right? Like, as in, like, oh, it's my way or no way. No, like,
Yeah.
we're not thinking we know everything. We'd like to think it through with you guys. That's what we come with the best conclusion. But I mean, it would be cool to see them actually go out and do that, where you're like, holy shit, what are
Mhm.
they trying to plan here? Because there's always a plan in place. That's the best thing with Jason Light. Like, they're setting things up, and if it happens that way, they know where they're going to go. Because if they
Mhm.
make a big signing, say that way in free
Yeah.
agency, that makes them be more aggressive in the draft. I think,
Mhm.
as in, like, okay, now we need to get the other piece that we need, right? So, and people like that, and maybe he does go for that run. And Todd's like, no, I need this guy this time. You've been taking nothing but offense. I need my time. So,
Mhm.
or like Krillin said, pull a Didka and trade all your picks for the number one pick.
Could you imagine we just send all the picks in? We get a dual Carter from Penn State. We have our speed edge rusher for the next 10 years. Yeah, that would be something. Basically, Micah Parsons clone for pick one. Or hell, Todd Bowles goes in there. He's like, you know what? I want Mason Graham. Just give me Mason Graham next to Vita Vea, Kalijah
Oh,
Cansey. Or well, probably take Travis Hunter. I'm assuming they put him at corner. That's probably what you do. But
or put on
yeah,
corner and receiver. So all the people that wanted, oh, we had so many injuries at receiver.
yeah,
You got both. You got
right.
both.
Mike Evans goes down, and you're like, oh well, Travis, you got to play offense now full time. Yeah, but
Oh,
yeah, that would be something. That would be funny to see. But this is a good point here by Buccaneer Bryce talking about, yeah, no point overpaying for flashy free agent, get high upside guys. And this is like the Shaq Barrett way. That's what they do with Shaq Barrett. They find guys that one opportunity fit the style that they want to, implement, and they come out and they play well. Again, not every free agent is going to have 19 sacks their first season, but you try to find value like that. And that's what I expect them to do this offseason. Get like 4 to 5 Shaq Barrett type of value type deals, and maybe one big signing on top of that could happen for the Buccaneers in the offseason.
right. You hope so,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we need to get someone on. Hopefully, you're working the phones, checking the feeds to see if we can get
Yeah.
uh, a cap guy that can come in here and give us a more
Mhm.
appropriate, like, I guess, definition of what should we expect? Like, how much money do we have to spend? And
Right.
if this happened, like, say, cutting Jamel Dean or restructuring our contract, how much more could be available for us
Mhm.
to do something? Or what leverage do we have for trades, stuff like that? And then even to your credit, like with our offense, with our quarterback, and Todd Bowles, a lot of people like his scheme in the NFL world. Like, who wouldn't want to come here right now? You know, we're a constant winner. The division isn't as aggressive and as strong as other teams, so you know you can get in the playoffs. Other team, like I mean, like I joke about it. Tyreek Hill saying that, oh, Tampa's just a drive away, right? But either way, that got headlines and makes people think, oh, why the hell is he even thinking about Tampa, right? So other players are like, oh, well, maybe that is a good landing spot. Good
Mhm.
for taxes, I can tell you that. So I don't know. You never know what's happening, what their plans are. Did anyone think we're going to get Tom Brady and Gronkowski and AB in one off season or one season?
Mhm.
No. There's a
Mhm.
lot of hopes, but
Yeah.
they have balls, Krillin. They have balls.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure. I didn't even get to touch on the, like, Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl this week. That's, 2 big events for the draft if you guys are following along with that. Senior Bowl practices are gonna be very important, a lot of good prospects. So you have Senior Bowl on Saturday this weekend, you have the Shrine Bowl on Thursday. So definitely some players, to keep an eye on. Maybe we'll do a live stream for next week, talking about that, just kind of giving you the outlook from those games and who impressed and stuff like that. So that'll be important. It,
Please bring it up.
it looks like Marga. Yeah. Oh my god.
Corey, that's gold right there.
Oh my goodness.
I got to
Could
read this out loud. That nerd dude from the computer report said we could free up 25. I don't even know what the hell that number is by restructuring Evans and reciting God went early with an extension.
Oh man, I can't laugh. That you know, Josh Josh Crapo he's awesome, man. He does a great job there at Pew Report, but that was funny. That's a good comment.
I'm gonna wake up my
That
kid, damn it.
that was a good
Oh,
that was a
Corey,
good comment. But yeah, we'll try and see if we can get Josh Capo on here. Maybe he can join us. He has some really great stuff on Pew Report talking about the salary cap, talking about potential moves. So be sure to check out his content over there.
you got to
Uh,
screenshot that comment, bring it up. He
yeah,
comes on.
I'll make sure I screenshot. I'll I'll send it to him later. I'm sure he'll laugh at it.
But before
um,
we go, really quick,
yeah,
John Nugent or Nguyen
mm,
said, "What free agent would you like them to sign?"
that's a
Okay,
great question.
she's that.
Yeah, if I can, let me see. I'll bring this back up because
A
I
realistic.
like I mean I like a bunch of names. Realistic.
I mean, I guess anything
I
could be
mean I
realistic, right? If
yeah
we
I
have maybe
I
around.
yeah I would love to see them go after Dre Greenlaw if he becomes available. Like, I think that would be an awesome move. I know he's coming off the Achilles, but I just think that's like an upside type of risk move to make. I mentioned Shearwood. I think he makes a lot of sense. You know what? Scratch all that because actually the one that that makes a lot of sense. He was up here. Hold on, let me bring up his name. This guy right here, Ernest Jones from Seattle. I know he's been traded, from Titans and to Seattle, and he's moved around. But I think he would be a good addition. He's a guy that can move. He's downhill, can do some different things. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to target him, maybe potentially. I think that'd be a good free agent. Trying to think who else. I already mentioned Levi. I mean Ozarike. I think he'd be awesome.
As like
Um,
big signings, like that would be your big signing. Like you're like, okay, that's
oh,
us trying to
the
make.
link went away, so I'll take it out of there. But but yeah, I mean, ideal free agent would be Josh Sweat. Like if he becomes available, that would be the big one to go after. Like he would be about a 16 to 17 million dollar contract. Byron Murphy, we talked about, that'd be another big one to attack. Shadavius Ward, I think would be interesting. Another corner that coming off injury but has been good before. Um, those are a couple that I would consider big money free agents, if you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think the method of going with a top dollar corner and then getting a young linebacker in the draft, I think would be the best ideal way. So like whatever corner fits their scheme the best and is a high
Mhm.
dollar, go after it. I think that would be probably the best one because like with corner, I I don't know how the Eagles got 2 guys that were rookies to do this well because there's just so
Mhm.
much of trust that you have to go around.
Yeah.
So that I think that's a lot harder for a corner.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I
why
think I think that's something the Bucks could copy this offseason is double dipping at that position. That's what
yeah,
the Eagles, Detroit did it as well.
yeah,
With going up and getting Terry and Arnold. They also drafted Rakestraw in the second round. Um, so you look at the Eagles, they got Mitchell and then they went up and traded up to get Cooper DeJean. So
yeah,
those type of moves, I think the Buccaneers could definitely try to do to add to depth and try to get more as far as your secondary goes. But free agency, again, it's just who's available, what type of price tag are you looking at? I think Josh Sweat, Brian Murphy, Shazavius Ward, Dre Greenlaw, Shearwood, Ernest Jones, all these guys should be on the target list. We just have to see can they meet what the Buccaneers are trying to offer. That's what it's going to come down to.
yeah. I think it's just the scheme fit. That's why I mean I like Byron Murphy coming out of college, but like the size, I don't know.
Yeah, but the biggest thing, like
Great,
sometimes
great
he's
though.
a playmaker. Like
Yeah.
the guy just knows how to make plays, and I think that is something. If you're Todd Bowles, you want more of that because your defense is predicated on forcing turnovers. That's a huge thing, and that's something they just couldn't do last year.
Hell, maybe Baker talks to him, get your weight up. You never know.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, yeah, I would think the best corner, high dollar corner you can get. Let's do that.
Mhm.
Whether it is Byron Murphy or some other guy, I think the best high dollar that guy you can
Mhm.
get, and then let's go draft a middle linebacker because I view them like as like running backs of the defense. Like they absorb so much impact and hits, it's hard for them to kind of keep their legs under them. A la like on our team right now, Deion Jones.
Mhm.
Uh, what was the Colts guy? It was great for like 3 or 4 years, and he's gone. Darius Leonard, yeah, Darius Leonard,
Yeah. Yep.
great for 3 or 4 year stretch, then gone, like just off the face of the earth, kind of thing.
Right.
I think, yeah, like Byron Murphy would be my pick.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. I think again, all the names that have been brought up, here or throughout the chat, been really good. So I again, they are going to find ways to upgrade this defense, and it's going to put pressure on Todd Bowles. I know, I know Ken Barrett was in the chat earlier talking about convince him of Todd Bowles. Well, he's going to have all the pressure on him this year, and we'll see if they can be more consistent as a team, offensively, defensively, and not fall into those traps of 4-6 or 4-7 yet again, and have to be perfect down the stretch. So we'll see. We'll see how they come out this offseason, see what the aggression, what the plan is, all that fun stuff. But this has been awesome, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Be sure to hit that like button. Again, if you're new here, hit that subscribe. We appreciate everything you guys are doing for us. It means a lot, and we're going to try to continue to keep up this content as we move forward throughout the off season. And we got a lot more in store. We got draft studies, film studies coming out for prospects, free agents. We'll get into all of that, and continue to keep you posted on the offensive coordinator search as well. So without further ado, hope you all have a great night, great week, and we'll see you on the next one. Go Bucks.
Woo!